In today's brief video, I'm going to set out to answer the question, should you wait to hit rock bottom before you quit smoking weed, quit smoking cigarettes, quit vaping, quit drinking alcohol, whatever the substance is, quit watching porn, whatever the substance is that you're struggling with? Should you wait to hit rock bottom before quitting? Now, if you wind up liking today's video, be sure to check out the pinned comment or the video description to learn more about our paid and free addiction mindset recovery coaching programs and resources, which are dedicated to helping people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content, substances I once struggled with. So, in my opinion, when it comes to quitting substances, you're either stopping substance use in a position of weakness and desperation, or you're stopping substance use from a place of choice and power. And I think the more people that we can move towards quitting out of a position of power and choice, the better off people are going to be in the long run. And I'll take a moment and explain why this is. Because I was kind of somewhere in between those two spots when I quit. I was struggling with cannabis-induced psychosis. I was struggling with a condition called Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome, CHS. If you're not familiar with that, Google it. It's a terrible condition. I had all types of neurological problems from abusing stimulant-based energy drinks, pre-workout products. I had a small stint with Adderall, binge drinking heavily on the weekends. I had messed myself up. So my health was kind of going towards the rock bottom, but other things in my life weren't going bad. Like my business was doing okay despite running into some financial trouble towards the end of my addiction. Like life wasn't terrible for me in the big picture, okay? So why not wait till rock bottom before you quit? This is why. When you're abusing a substance, chances are that you're already in a state of dopamine deficit. We all think of consuming drugs giving us more dopamine. But what happens is after you abuse a substance over a prolonged period of time, your brain starts to downregulate those dopamine receptors and that dopamine production, and continued drug use actually leads you into a state of dopamine deficit. Now, dopamine is the neurotransmitter that we need for motivation, and it's largely responsible for our ability to repeat a behavior over and over and over again, our motivation to repeat a behavior to seek a reward, okay? So the very neurochemical in your brain, once you have an addiction for a prolonged period of time, that's responsible for the motivation that you need to stop and the repetitive behaviors that you need to stop, the repetitive development of new habits, new routines, and new behaviors is literally wiped out. So you're already starting, even if you're at a high point in your life, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, relationship-wise, even if you're already in a great place, physiologically, you're already lacking the very neurotransmitter that you need to get started to quit. This is why motivation to stop never really works or never really lasts, because it's not there. When you're struggling with a drug addiction, it's just not there. That in itself is kind of a low place. So keeping that in mind, now imagine adding a rock bottom situation on top of that, okay? Now imagine being rock bottom broke. Imagine running into a major health crisis because you've been abusing cannabis and you got carts and you got problems with your lungs or breathing or heart problems or CHS or psychosis or something like that. Imagine having lost a marriage or your kids or a relationship or a family. Now you're at rock bottom and you're lacking the very neurotransmitter that you need to feel stimulated, excited, and that needs to be there in order to reinforce new habits and new behaviors over and over and over again. And by the way, for most people that hit rock bottom, there's always another trap door. Addiction isn't about attaining higher highs. Addiction is about discovering what next low point in your life you're gonna hit. So if that's what you want, by all means, keep at it, okay? But So now, we don't got the neurotransmitter, we're at a rock bottom, and as someone who deeply struggled with addiction for several years of my life, what do you think rock bottom feels like? It feels like a depressed, anxious, scared, angry place to be in life, right? All those emotions, fear, anger, anxiety, depression, just every emotion at rock bottom, right? Guilt, regret, all of it. How do you think someone that's been practicing drug use for 9 years is going to cope with hitting rock bottom, is going to cope with the stress, the anxiety, the depression, the frustration? They're going to consume more of the substance. They're going to consume more of the drug. So now we're at rock bottom. We're lacking, we went into rock bottom already lacking the very neurotransmitter that we need to be motivated and repeat new behaviors and tasks over and over again. And we've developed no new coping skills along the way. And this is where you see people get stuck in rock bottom. And this is where, for a lot of people, you see rock bottom actually lead to a lifelong addiction. Or when I'm talking about other substances, typically not cannabis, maybe though, not always. I mean, certainly in the case of psychosis or CHS, death is a possibility. But with other substances, opioids, alcohol, fentanyl, things like that, yes, this is where we see people die. Now, if you're watching today's video and you're like, wow, thank God that's not me, Dr. Frank, I'm a successful businessman or businesswoman. Financially, I'm great, love my kids, love my wife. I just really want to quit. Awesome. All the more power to you, because you know what? You probably got some of that dopamine floating around, right? You probably have a little more of the means to make this happen, whether it's getting accountability for yourself or some coaching or whatever. But more importantly than that, you're quitting from a position of choice and not out of desperation. Because what do you think happens to the person? Why do you think someone who's addicted to drugs always hits a new rock bottom? Because they quit out of desperation at their first rock bottom. They suddenly feel better. They weren't quitting from a position of choice or power. They quit because they were forced to. They feel better after they recover from rock bottom, and then they hit a new lower rock bottom because they quit out of desperation. Whereas the person who's taking a moment and saying, life is good, and I want to continue to improve life and build on the life that I have and pursue a future that I want to pursue versus tear down what I got and burn what I got. When you got that person quitting at that moment in their life, that's choice. That's power. And in my opinion, it makes quitting so much easier because we got the dopamine. We got the right circumstances going on where we're not feeling the urge to cope with more weed, more cannabis, more alcohol, more nicotine, more pornography, more adult media content, right? So quitting, now there might be other things holding that person back from quitting, okay? I'm just talking about this specific topic, right? Quitting in a position of rock bottom or from a position of power and choice. So no, I don't encourage anyone to hit rock bottom. If you have a loved one who's struggling with addiction, I don't encourage you to push them towards a rock bottom because rock bottom for some people is death. Rock bottom for some people is a lifelong struggle with addiction, and it 100% doesn't have to be. And just eliminating this idea, because I used to think, like, I'm going to wait till things get really bad, then I'll stop. That's it, I'll just wait until things get really bad and then I'll stop. What evidence do you have that you will stop when things get really bad? Why do you think that that's going to magically happen? It certainly didn't for me. Is it going to for you? I had many scenarios where things were arguably getting bad. Wasn't it? Didn't quit, didn't stop. Okay, so removing that mindset, understanding why waiting for rock bottom is so dangerous, and start to understand to take opportunity of quitting from a place of choice and power, and just how much longer lasting and how much fruitful that can make things. Because then when you quit from a place of choice and power, something else happens. You didn't quit out of desperation. So now when you start to feel better after you get through the withdrawals and all that stuff, now it's like you're going to keep going because you weren't forced to make a decision, so you don't feel the urge to rush back to it. There might be other things that bring you back, but I'm talking again in the context of rock bottom or not rock bottom. But that is another massive advantage of quitting from a place of a position of choice and power. Okay? So if life is good right now and you're smoking weed and you want to stop for X, Y, and Z reason, now is literally the perfect time to stop. Now is a great time to stop, okay? Now is a great time. If life is absolute crap right now, now is also a good time to stop before things possibly get worse, okay? If you need help with that, check out the pinned comment or the video description. We have one-on-one coaching where I work with you directly, not a member of my team, not someone that's off camera. I work with you directly, money back guarantee. We have our Kick It, Crave Less Chewing Gum supplements, incredible nicotine-free, cannabis-free, stimulant-free supplements. It's an herbal amino acid chewing gum designed to help people quit. It reduces cravings, helps increase a person's tolerance for stress, reduces brain fog, all types of incredible results from that. You can check it out at kickitrevolution.com. You can text our coaching number below to learn more about our paid and free program resources, or you can simply follow me into the next playlist where I give you a full program on how to quit smoking weed. I don't know anyone else on YouTube in the addiction space who gives away everything for free, with the exception of my time. Until next time, guys.